Hi everybody, so today we'll be solving problem 3, finding an angle of a triangle, number 9 and number 10. Now looking at the problem, we're already given some values of triangle PQR. So here you can see that the measure of angle R is 97.5, R equals 80, and P equals 75. And what we're looking for is the measure of angle P. Now, in order to solve number 9, which is this equation right here, let's first look at how this equation looked like and what the blanks, what are the blanks that we're looking for. So it would be sine capital R over lowercase r equals to sine capital P over lowercase p. And we have already some given values, so let's just input those values into this equation. So the measure of angle R is 97.5, and R equals 80, so we'll be substituting 80 for R, and P equals 75, so we'll be substituting 75 for P. Now we do the same thing here and just input those values. So it equals 97.5 equals 80 and 75 here. And that's just basically how we solve for number 9. Now, number 10, in number 10 we'll be solving for the measure of angle P. So the first thing, since we already have some steps right here on the side, the first thing would be to substitute, which is what we did in number 9. So as you can see, there are two blanks here, and the blanks that we solved for are sine 97.5 over 80 and sine capital P over 75. And we substituted the values of R and P. Now the next step in solving for the measure of angle P would be to isolate the sine term, which is this. And let's just, I'll be drawing that right over here. So in order to isolate the sine term, we could multiply the denominator, which is 75, on both sides of the equation. So let's say we had sine 97.5 equals 75. And if we multiplied by 75 on both sides, this would cancel out and we'd be left with sine P equals 75 times 97 times sine 97.5 over 80. And that's how we isolate the sine term, which is this. And we just do the same thing here and put those values. So this would be 75 parentheses, and this would be 80. Now the next step would be to apply the inverse sine function in order to solve for P. So this would just become sine -1, which is the inverse sine function, multiplied by still 75 sine 7.5 over 80, and that would equal to P. So by applying the inverse sine function, we're crossing out the sign on the right side of the equal sign. So let's input these values here. So this is still 75, this is still 80. Now if we input these values into a calculator, so sine 97.5 it would equal approximately 0.99, and if we multiply that by 75, we would get approximately 74.36, and then if we divide that by 80, we'd get approximately 0.93, and if we multiply that by sine -1, so we have sine -1 multiplied by 0.93, that would approximately equal 68.4. So P is congruent to 68.4. And that is how you solve for the measure of angle P.